Welcome to Spencer Uncensored. It's episode number 51. What? Yeah, we got a lot of things we're going to be working on to get more prepared for these kinds of things in the new year. But this is the week before Christmas. So today is Tuesday, of course. It is the 19th of December, 2023. For posterity purposes, I'm going to adjust a few things here because tonight I'm doing things differently for myself. So let me make sure that I'm not going to hear myself. Here we go. Ready? Oh, good. All right. We're live. And so if you got comments, questions, things you want to drop in the comments, I would love to hear it from you. You are always welcome to do that. Make sure, by the way, if you know someone that's in business, entrepreneur, more specifically, a real estate agent would be probably the optimal person. If you know anyone like that and they are not in this group, add them to this group. Like, tell them they got to be here. Right. And if you're watching this later on, when we get it all spliced up and it's over on TikTok or YouTube or even on here on Facebook, wherever you're catching this from, make sure you subscribe, stay on top, because we're doing a lot of things coming up into the year and we are just constantly gearing up. I appreciate all of you that are here. I see Dan's in the crowd. Hey, brother. Um, from New Jersey. You and I are not going to be friends next week, by the way. University of Miami plays Rutgers, and if I recall, you went to Rutgers. So, boo to you. We're gonna have a little fun with that next week. But anyway, tonight, as the rest of you keep piling in. By the way, if you see me keep looking to that direction, it's because I'm looking at the screen to see if any comments are coming in on the chat. I have it set up in a different way tonight. So anyway, I appreciate everybody that's here. We're gonna have some fun. Let others know what's going on over here in the Unshakable group for real estate agents, specifically where we work on. We want to make more so we can live more. Like, that's the reason we do this kind of stuff. That's the reason we get better. That's the reason we have bigger businesses. We make more money so that we can go out and live more, like do more things with our money. And so I appreciate you being here. Our goal has always been to empower and enrich every life we connect with, and we help you increase your productivity, your purpose, and your profit. All right. Having said all of that, tonight I'm going to cover some big topics, and we're doing it on purpose. One of them is essentially, what does coaching do for you? Right? What are the four big things? Because there's four things that agents struggle with. And then I'm also going to share with you my own personal coaching philosophy on the path and how we move people through the process. There's some benefits to this. You're going to get some of this that's going to help you. It might help you reevaluate what you're getting out of a coaching program you might be in, or it might actually help you clarify why you should probably get a coach. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Before I get into this, let me tell you a little bit about my story. I remember way back, man. So I got into the real estate business in 1999, which means I am pushing a quarter of a century now. We're getting ready to hit it next year. And that doesn't mean a whole lot to you other than I have seen a lot of different things, ups, downs, all over the place. And then, of course, my own personal life had its own ups and downs and all over the place, right? And so in that process, in 2004, I began coaching. And in 2005, I started doing it for money. But it all really started when I was working with my own team. But before I was doing it with my own team of 6 buyers agents, 2 admins, growing that business, I was involved with a coaching program that completely changed or shifted everything I needed to know about the real estate business. Now, the cool thing is that the program and the people I was listening to, they were doing really big businesses, right? 400 deals a year back then was like a really big deal. Nowadays, you'll see more and more people doing that. Matter of fact, the team that I'm a part of that I help coach, 1,200, 1,500, 2,000 transactions, not that big of a deal, but we have to, when you go back and rewind, 400 deals was a lot of deals in a year. And so listening to these individuals and being on weekly calls and monthly calls and going to conferences and listening to the audio This is back when they had CDs, right? And so all this, and then these huge binders. I'm talking massive binders. We are learning all kinds of stuff along the way, and it constantly expanded our thinking, constantly. And so it radically shifted how fast we grew. Because in 99, when I got started, I was working with an agent who'd been in the business probably 5 or more like 8 years by the time I got involved. I came to work for her. And when I got exposed to the coaching, man, it just exploded. And so we did really rather well, moved to Florida, built the team I was just telling you about. Then I ended up in my own personal situation with a divorce. And with that divorce, I then moved back to South Carolina. And when I did that in 2004, I began getting asked by people, hey, tell me, how did you do what you were doing? And so I began showing and helping and walking people through. And at this point, I realized that the growth trajectory I was on wasn't happening just because of the technical information, or what we like to call mechanics. It wasn't just that technical data that was helping us grow. It was also the mindset pieces that I had attached to all of that mechanics. And so I realized quickly, when I started looking at what are the pain points for real estate agents, especially, but this is really true for all entrepreneurs. What were the pain points for these people, right? What are the challenges that they're struggling, and what can I provide to help them? And it's been the exact same 4 things I've been doing since the beginning. If you've ever had an evaluation with me, especially if it's in person, like face to face, we have talked about these 4 things. And so I'm going to share these 4 things with you tonight. By the way, those of you that are popping in, if you've got questions, comments, thoughts, anything you want to share, please feel free to drop it in the comments. I am paying attention. You guys are I want this to be interactive. So let me see this for a second. All right. By the way, we're going to be buying some new equipment soon, and the lighting's going to be better, right? A lot of cool things. But anyway, all right, let's get down to business. 4 things that you're probably struggling with, or could be struggling with. Maybe all 4 of them, maybe 3 of them, maybe 2 of them, maybe just 1 of them. But any one of them can derail you enough to not actually get you into the business where you want to go. So we're going to talk about these 4 things. I want you to write them down, and then I want you to think about what you could be doing different. The number 1 thing that a coach is going to help provide for you, and that we are constantly working on helping everybody with, is focus. Focus is the number 1 problem that we have. And I know that if I can help you maintain focus on what you want, more specifically, why you want it, half my job is done. I can promise you that the biggest portion of the challenge that we have as entrepreneurs and business owners is that we constantly are overstimulated all the time. I can tell you right now, I just spent 6 hours on webinar today. Listening and learning from all these different people, and every once in a while your brain would start going, you know what, that's a cool idea, and then you go running down this little rabbit, right? Or then you go running down this other thing. None of that mattered. None of it helped. You take the pieces that are relevant to your outcome that you have, and you maintain focus. That's the danger in listening and constantly learning. However, if you can find 1 or 2 slight things that you actually go and implement, and it's attached to your focus, right? If it's relevant to your rap sheet and what you have written down of what you want to do, those of you that are familiar with rap sheet, you know what it is. If you don't, ask me, I'll tell you. And it's not what you think it is. WRAP, weekly results and planning, your rap sheet. If it's not relevant to your outcomes that you've determined you want, then it's not relevant to your focus right now. Put it on a back burner, move along, keep things moving. Focus is by far the number 1 thing that we have a challenge with. You want to challenge me on that? Number 2, accountability. Now, when I say accountability, most of the time people think that, oh, I'm going to have to tell Spencer that I didn't get something done and that I'm going to whip out a wet noodle and beat you over the head with it. That is not accountability. Accountability, ladies and gentlemen. My description of accountability is the ability to account. And so, yes, there is that element of, hey, how did things progress from the last time we spoke with what you chose to get done? Yes, there's a piece of that. And there's a part of us that don't like to, nobody likes to tell their coach that they did not get something done that they wanted to. The point of accountability is the ability to account, tracking. What did we do with our time? What did we do with our money? What did we do with our energy? What did we do with the people involved, right? There's some very specific things that we pay attention to in terms of resources, but the accountability is a big part of it because we just naturally will drift. We'll naturally drift, especially if we're not tracking our outcomes. We're not tracking our processes and what we're doing. We don't have a schedule. We don't keep up with things and we don't analyze that information. We're not going to have a very good conversation. So we have to, accountability is a big part of what we're doing. Number 3, this one's fun, especially for real estate agents. Whew. Consistency. Consistency. Think about this. And this is if you're new to the real estate business, then you probably haven't seen this yet. If you've been in the business a while, then you know what this looks like. We work really, really hard to get a deal or two put together, right? And I usually draw this on a piece of paper. We work really, really hard to get a deal or two put together, and then we work to get them closed. And so we focus on getting that transaction closed until somewhere along the way we realize, oh crap, I have nothing for next month. And so then we go back to lead generating and go find some new business. The problem is that from here to here, when we first started, and then when we started moving back up again, from here to here is a 90-day at least, right? 90-day window. Friends, if you're not going to get paid but every 3 months, 4 months on a consistent basis, that becomes a roller coaster ride nobody enjoys. And the worst part about that is when you have on that roller coaster ride and you have family involved, they're trying to figure out when are we going to eat this week? Like what's going on? We're going to make money this week? We're going to do anything? Like, woo, got money. Oh, we got no money. Woo, we got money. Oh, we got no money. Up and down. That gets old. The only way and the only solution to that we bring from a coaching perspective is systems. It's a conversation around maintaining systems and constantly leveling up the level of systems so that we're constantly doing more and more. And I've said this a ton of times, ladies and gentlemen. You can do 1 to 2 deals a month from straight out hustle. Some people can get as many as 3. I'm talking hustling, like just pounding out the phone, talking to as many people as possible, grinding out everything, getting it all done. Yes, you can close 1 to 2 deals a month, not easily, but that's one way to do it. But the agents that they're doing 5, 6, 8, 10 transactions a month. They're not doing it just from the grinding. They got systems in place. I just got a call or text today from one of our agents over at United Home Group, right? He said, I just signed a buyer agreement with a buyer that was 5 years plus old in the database. Do you know what the level of follow-up it takes to make that happen? Systems, ladies and gentlemen, that's how that happens. So consistency is a big part of what we're doing. If you don't have it, you might need somebody to look at what you got going on and help you work through it. It's one of the reasons we're creating the real estate reset, because we're talking about some of that stuff. That's a course. It's a course we're getting ready to load up in the Unshakable HQ. So that's number 3. Number 4, and yes, I realize I'm moving fast, but there's a reason for that. Number 4, growth. Some people, when they hear growth, it's not that I have this inordinate amount of information to impart upon you. What I'm really referring to and what's required for an agent to really get where they want to go, or an individual in any business for that matter, they're in their own little circle. They're on their own little world, circle of knowledge, right? This is their comfort zone, if you will. And so through the focus and the accountability and the consistency, all that stuff, you get pushed out of your circle. You'll end up doing things that are not very comfortable to you, or they're unusual. You just don't know for sure. And that uncertainty causes people to do the exact same thing every time, freak out and run back into their circle. Usually in a coaching relationship, it's when you come running back into your little circle and go back to what you're comfortable with, and we don't want to go back out there because it's scary. That's when we have a conversation. And sometimes it's something as simple as asking a question, shadowing somebody, reading a book, haven't taken a specific course. There's some very specific things that's going to do one thing, and that's grow that outer circle. Because at the end of the day, it's not about making $250,000 a year or 500, 600, 800, or $1 million. It's about who you have to become. And that's where coaching comes in on the growth factor. Those are the 4 things that we're constantly doing. And if you're struggling with one of those 4, then you probably need to reach out to me, right? You can go to unshakablesecrets.com. But if the point I'm getting at, guys, this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is the trouble right here that we all have. One of those 4 things, or all 4 of those things, or a combination of them, are keeping you from getting where you want to go. Now, how does Spencer actually take somebody and move them forward? This is my model. You're not going to find this anywhere else. This is just what I've created over the years because it works. Okay. I'm sharing it for the world to see. Usually I draw it on a triangle. One of the things I am buying, by the way, for the new year as we get going, is I'm going to have a board to write stuff on so you guys can see this, and it's not so, it's like, random. So anyway, I want to do that for you guys. We're going to be doing a lot more in here because we're rolling out courses like crazy. Just curious. Anybody over here talking? Nope. Man, y'all are quiet tonight. I guess that's what happens when you're like week before Christmas or a couple days before Christmas. Everybody's just kind of like checked out. First of the year, everything's going to just go in high gear. But that's why I'm doing this, because I know there's people that's going to be interested in talking about this. And so I'm doing it today so that I can roll it out all next week. That's just what we're going to do. There are some very specific things. There's a path we have to go. And unfortunately, our natural behavior is doing it backwards. Yes, I'm going fast tonight. I'm doing this on purpose. No, yes, I did have coffee, but that's not the factor. I'm doing it quickly because I need it to be hard hitting and fast for you. Okay. If I was going to draw a triangle, at the very bottom, we have to make sure that you understand the tools of the trade. Now, most people, when they get to me, they have the tools of the trade. So if you're new in real estate, you're just trying to figure out what we're talking about. We're talking about things like the technology, how to use your MLS, the contracts, all that kind of stuff. Minimum. Like if you try to get ahead without understanding any of those pieces of the puzzle, at least the basic functionality of those tools. I mean, contracts, if you don't understand contracts or agency, things like that, you're going to have a problem, right? If you don't know how to use your email on your phone, that's a problem. That's a foundational piece of this whole discussion, tools. But once we get out of tools, okay, so you have a working knowledge of all this information. You understand what a buyer presentation looks like, a seller presentation. You know how to get a sign, all that kind of stuff. Cool. The next thing on that list above tools is going to be the word conditioning, which this is my favorite part to talk about, where if you've seen the movie Coach Carter, just tell me in the comments somewhere if you've ever seen the movie Coach Carter. I love the movie. Matter of fact, hold on a second. I keep all my I have my movies in here. I'm not seeing it from here. Dadgummit. Well, that's a redneck thing to say, dadgummit, isn't it? Anyway, all right. I was just trying to see if I saw it over there. I don't. All right. Coach Carter, let me tell you, there's a portion in that movie where toward the beginning, when he does his first practice, and he's got these young inner city boys, and they're doing suicides. If you don't know what suicides are, terrible, right? You run from one end of the basketball court to the first line, you touch the ground, you come back to the end of the court, then you touch the ground, then you go back out a little bit further to the next line, you touch the ground, you come back, and you do this little process further and further each time until you do the whole length of the court, and then you do it all the way back, right? It's basically just a running exercise. And they're running and doing this, and one of the kids says, Coach, he's all out of breath. Coach, when we gonna run some plays? And Coach Carter makes a statement that has stuck with me ever since I heard it, because it made so much sense to me after having worked with hundreds of real estate agents. I really have. He says, boys, I can't teach you the game of basketball until I know your conditioning is up. Now I want that to settle for just a second. How does that translate into the real estate business, or any business for that matter, when we're working on getting up and getting started? In our world, conditioning is the habit or the ability to keep moving when others are tired. It is a mental, emotional, and physical strength. It's a skill of the ability to keep going when other people can't, right? When you see that other agent who's made 3 phone calls and they're like worn out, but you can keep going to 5, you can keep going to 10, you can make 100 dials in a day. When you're having that kind of conditioning, you are almost guaranteed to outpace everybody, even if you don't keep going up this triangle that I'm working on. The point of conditioning is to outpace everybody. And that requires mental toughness. What does it take to break you? That's how you measure this. What does it take to break you emotionally, right? I've had plenty of moments fairly recently where I'm sitting there starting to question my emotions about how this is going to go, and should I just break down? Fuck no, you're not going to break down. You keep moving forward, because you don't get broken that easy. But if you don't have the conditioning to move yourself forward, it's not going to work. You got to have the strength. Your ability to keep having conversations. It's all about contacts. It's all about getting out there, turning up the volume, going deeper, having more energy, more depth, more contacts. And if you can't outpace your opponent, you could just forget it. You're going to get beat. That's number 1. Right after tools, right there, conditioning. This is why agents got so upset with me when they would come in. I was a productivity coach in major brokerages, more than one. And they would, what do I got to do that's so special? I'm going to tell you what you're going to do that's so special. You're going to go talk to a lot of people. Go. Here's some strategies on how to do that. Go make those conversations happen. Here's some scripting. Let's practice that. Go talk to people. Spencer, I'm tired. No, you're not. Keep going. Conditioning. Once we got the conditioning going, and you're hitting the minimum expectation on that number, right? The next thing we're going to work on is speed. Now, speed in a sports context is pretty simple to understand. But really what we're going to do is some speed work in a sales environment is around how fast, how quickly can I turn a conversation into an appointment? Speed is all about call conversion. It's all about conversion, even in person. Doesn't matter. How quickly, right? Is it taking me 3 weeks to turn this conversation into an appointment, or can I do it on the first shot? That's speed. And that takes precision work on getting really, really good at the dialogue while you're there. And we have a whole conversion framework clinic. I'm pretty sure sometime in the year, we're going to have that at the Unshakable HQ. We're going to have it in there. Conversion framework. It's all about speed. I'm having a conversation with you. You're going to have an appointment with me tomorrow. Let's go. That's speed. Once we get the speed work done and you're getting better and faster at setting appointments, then the discussion is accuracy. So at the top is accuracy. Accuracy is about how flawless is my presentation. I got an agent right now, same agent that had the 1,500-day-old lead. We're working on trimming down his listing appointments and his buyer appointments, how long he's there, and still be able to have the high level of quality that it needs to be. That's accuracy. Can you walk in on an appointment and do it with finesse, do it with ease, sign paperwork, walk out, get to work? Once we get past accuracy, then it's a matter of scaling it all. But let me tell you what most people do. They do it backwards. Most people do this backwards. What they will do is they want to get it right. They want to get their presentation right. And they will practice and they'll work on it and they'll tweak and they'll get all kinds of, they'll get Chat GPT and figure out all kinds of, verbiage for their presentation, and they'll get pretty flyers and they'll get pretty paperwork and they'll have, the folders and they'll do all kinds of things to get their presentation to be pretty. Because in their mind, if I can have a really good presentation, then I'll be able to, right? If I get that accuracy right, then I'll be able to speed things up and set more appointments. And then once I set more appointments, I'll be able to outpace everybody because of my conditioning. And once I do all that, I can pay for whatever tools I want. Now, saying it out loud like that kind of makes sense, but the truth is it's not true. If you want a sustainable business, it's the other way around. So I'm going to challenge you. Ask yourself, do I know the tools? If you know where the tools are, maybe you don't have them all mastered, but you understand, you have a working knowledge, or you know someone that's going to be able to help you if you did. For the majority of people, it's a conditioning problem. Am I having enough conversations to sustain the level of growth and or goals that I have? If so, then let's start working on how quickly can I set an appointment? What's my conversion rate? Does it take 10 people for me to set one appointment? It might. Just depends on the group of people you're talking to. Am I setting 3 appointments for every 10? 4 appointments for every 10? That's how we measure speed. And then the last one, accuracy, is how many appointments do I go on before they turn into before I get a signed agreement? I trust this was useful for you tonight. It gives you something to think about. I would love to have you over at unshakablesecrets.com. You can go there and sign up for a one-on-one call so we can see if the Unshakable HQ is something that makes sense to you. But I am here. We're going to have a great time next year, and we're going to just crush it with you. So until next time, you guys keep well, keep moving forward, and I'll look forward to the next point in time.